do something different. Brent just stared at the canoe. The wind continued to howl around us. We both shivered in the cold. Snow geese flapped across the sky. I scanned the tundra in either direction. There were no bears in sight. "Each day feels like an eternity out here," mumbled Brent. "It's freezing. I'm hungry, tired, and wet. There are polar bears all over the place, and we've no idea what might be on that river." "Things will get easier. We've just had some bad weather," I replied, but without much conviction, knowing that things would likely only get worse. "Adam," Brent said slowly, "sometimes you're insane." "I can't do this alone." Brent shook his head. "I can't do this at all." Clearly, appealing to Brent's competitive side would now get me nowhere. So I appealed to the one thing I thought he still valued. "If you quit now, you'll have to pay for the entire cost of the flight out of here. The Geographical Society won't cover any of it. It'll cost you a fortune." "I'd gladly spend my entire life savings to get out of here." "You'd really leave me alone in polar bear territory?" I was grasping at straws. "There's no reason you can't get on that plane with me. Not until we've succeeded." Brent just kept staring at the frigid sea. I was sympathetic. I knew he was cold. I knew the truth of his words. A day can drag on endlessly when you're hungry, exhausted, and wet, when you have only the dimmest sense of what lies ahead. When polar bears are stalking you. I knew it must be hard to put one foot in front of the other if you aren't drawn magnetically toward your destination, as I was. Brent tossed his hands in the air. "We can just lie about it. We can say we explored the river." His expression finally showed some life. "Brent!" "What? We obviously can't do that. Who'd know? We'd know." It became clear that nothing would convince Brent to push on deeper into the wilderness. His will was broken, his mind made up. Now I had to accept the inevitable. To argue any further while standing idly in the estuary would just give us both hypothermia. "All right," I said after a very long pause. "We'll head back to the old goose hunting shack, and you can try to contact a pilot." With that, we grabbed hold of our loaded canoe and dragged it back upriver, wading through frigid water and fighting our way up several sets of rapids to the relative safety of a dilapidated hunting cabin. The next day, I knew, the pilot would arrive for Brent. But I wouldn't be getting on that plane with him. Daunting as I found the prospect, I would have to remain behind to somehow finish the expedition on my own. As of tomorrow, I'd be alone against the North. Introduction. I am tormented with an everlasting itch for things remote. I love to sail forbidden seas and land on barbarous coasts. Herman Melville, Moby Dick, 1851. I think I always knew I was destined to become an explorer. Joseph Conrad, the great Victorian novelist and an experienced mariner, recalled that in his childhood he liked nothing better than to stare at maps and dream, as he put it, of the glories of exploration. That was in the 1860s. My childhood consisted of much the same thing. Only, unlike Conrad, I was told that I was born in the wrong century to be an explorer. I was told that there was nothing left to discover, and that if I had a passion for adventure in the natural world, I should look into a career as a park ranger or wildlife biologist. But whether from stubbornness or stupidity, I kept dreaming of exploring. The explorers I read about in history books loomed large in my imagination. They were heroic adventurers who undertook dangerous journeys sponsored by geographical societies to navigate wild rivers and map uncharted lands. I aspired to do precisely the same thing, no matter how improbable this goal seemed to others. And succeed I did. By the age of 25, I was leading an expedition to a river that was so remote it had never been explored or even named. This book recounts that adventure and my other expeditions to unexplored rivers for the Royal Canadian Geographical Society. People often ask me how I became an explorer. They wonder how I acquired all my wilderness survival skills. Did I take the best